Hello and welcome back to Highlander Heart. It's been a minute and a half since we have been there. And, you know, we were sort of thinking that we would be launching straight into reboot news after covering the series. That was the plan, right? And then a year passes. Things happen, things change, but now we're here. 4 years ago, 4 years ago was our last cast announcement for this movie. I don't know if it's ever happened before that it's taken 4 years for the next cast member to be announced, but it has. And so now we have our next one. We're going to talk about that shortly, but here joining me, as always, we have Joe and Amy. Hi guys, good to see you again.
Hello.
But we also, of course, had to have Jon Melville on, esteemed author of The Making of Highlander.
Hey Grant, hey guys.
Hey, Jon.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and of course you were on with me when we talked about Henry being cast, so it seemed only natural that I drag you back to talk about this new one. So before we get to this, I mean, everybody knows what the announcement is. Before we get to this, let's have a bit of a catch-up, shall we? Because there's been a few rumours and things over the last couple of years. Of course, there has been all sorts of different stuff happening. So the biggest news probably was that it seems like the big reason for it taking so much longer is because the movie moved from Lionsgate to Amazon. How are we feeling about that, everyone? Joe, what do you think about that? Because I kind of feel like things like that are a double-edged sword. Sometimes people feel it might be too commercial, and other people might think actually it's great. They've got loads of money. They can make it look.
No, yeah, it's I guess it's early enough that I'm like, well, we'll wait and see. It seems to be a positive because Amazon certainly has, if Lord of the Rings is anything to go by, they certainly have money they're willing to throw out. And what has been rumored for the budget sounds like, wow, they're really invested in this. And I will say that so far with other things, Amazon seems to take a, step back, like here, go make your thing, and have minimal input. So hopefully we'll avoid the pitfalls of previous Highlander films with producers and production companies getting way too involved and money people having a say in story. So I think as far as that's concerned, I think we're good. My only kind of pause on it and concern possibly is I don't know their track record as far as like theatrical release or streaming. So what are they thinking? Is this going to be a theatrical film, or are they going to wait and see what the finished product looks like and then decide? I would like to have that kind of stamped ahead of time so we know what to expect.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
I agree, and I think that was a lot of people's first concern as well, and including mine, that it means that it would go straight to Amazon. But I'm pretty sure that it has been confirmed that it would be a theatrical, very least in the US. And I know the Ungentlemanly Warfare movie was a good example of an Amazon financed movie, also starring Henry Cavill, that did get a theatrical release in the US, but didn't in the UK.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate. So I guess there's some sort of precedent there for at least coming out for you guys in theaters. But we'll see. How about you, Amy? What did you think when you heard the news?
I think knowing that it's moving a bit quicker now, Amazon have got hold of it, it makes you feel a little bit better because it's just dragged and dragged and dragged for years.
Yeah.
So it feels like they've actually got like the passion to get something done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, exactly. How about you, Jon, as well? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as a James Bond fan, I've been kind of paying attention to Amazon for the last few months, and hearing people asking the same questions. Really, what's going to happen? Will it be in cinemas or just on the telly? But I think from everything I've heard, the MGM side Amazon MGM is very much about trying to get things in theaters. So pretty confident about that. And I think just it is interesting that Amazon is becoming kind of the home of all these IPs. I mean, I know it's been building up, but James Bond and now Highlander.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I would guess, it is only guessing, of course, but the idea of a spin-off, this is maybe a future discussion, but a TV series or and again, that's the discussion that Bond fans have been having for months now, is about will there be Moneypenny spin-offs and all those sorts of things. So could we get Kastagir spin-offs? And I would love that, and I think that's actually where maybe Highlander should be is in that longer form area. But I'm also very excited about a film. So
yeah, exactly, and I think that's a very good point, because now Highlander is in the almost perfect place that it needs to be to launch into a TV show with minimal issues. It's already set up on a channel, effectively, being financed by one. So yeah, that's great. And like you said, and as you said a moment ago, the budget I think I've seen online is 180 million, which is that's a big budget for a reboot of a 40-year-old movie with how do we say an interesting history financially in terms of sequels and things like that afterwards. But as we know, a really solid fan base and a fantastic concept, and absolutely should have that kind of budget.
Yeah, and I think the number crunchers must have been working at this. I'm guessing it's not just someone at Amazon who says, "Oh, let's just buy up Highlander this week." They must work out those figures and think, no, there's money in this. This is going to succeed, whether they make all the budget back at the cinema, or whether it is just that constant streaming and people watching it for the next few years. So yeah, you'd like to think there's a sound business sense behind this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I hope so. So shooting in Scotland and the UK. I think we've also heard maybe somewhere in China, something like that as well. And September, they're going to start filming. Finally, after more years than I can even remember, of this thing, this reboot that we've been talking about forever. So it's so exciting. But yeah, so we've been left, with the exception of the Amazon news, we've really been left in the dark as to what was happening. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days ago, on X, Russell Crowe says, "Yes, it's true. I shall be returning to the Highlands with a sword. It has been a few centuries. There can be only one." And everyone went, "Oh my God, it's Russell Crowe." And then everyone went, "Russell Crowe?" And then apparently everyone went, "I can see that." And so that seems to be the general consensus. John, first thoughts when you heard Russell?
Well, I think you just said it there. It was it was the same really. It was just like, okay, yeah, no, I can see it.
Yeah,
simple as that. Really, it was. I mean, just thinking about it more and more, that of course the whole mentor figure. Crowe is that little bit older than Cavill, and I've actually just been tonight watching a film called The Nice Guys, which I don't know if people have seen, but it's a brilliant film from a few years ago.
That's lovely. Yes.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and I just love the whole kind of double act that's going on between him and Gosling. Now, who knows with the way they're going to do this film, but I would. Well, also, anyway, we could talk about this in a minute, but yes, good. I'm just going to keep on talking, so I should stop.
Not at all. Amy, what did you think when you heard the news?
Pretty much similar. Like, okay, oh yeah, that's interesting. I like that. Yeah, we'd watched The Nice Guys last year, so Yeah, it was quite seeing like the difference in like how he could be like the kind of like mentor figure is, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Joe?
I'm going to be the outlier.
There has to be one.
um, I don't. Uh, I, I I will leave it to the finished product, and I trust in Stahelski and the folks making the movie because I think we have some great people making this. But as Ramirez, I do not see it. And as we'll discuss, I think there are so many more and better options they can go with. One of my biggest things with if you're going to reboot it and you're going to cast the Ramirez character, there is nothing that says he has to be older, right? Because, I mean, visually, yes, I get it. And for the narrative and fiction, you want the wise, older, but these guys are immortal. He could be younger than Cavill and wise because he's immortal. They don't, unless they're introducing like slow aging into the mix, there's no, he doesn't have to be older. In fact, as I'll bring up, like when we talk about Kurgan and stuff like that, for many years until probably a couple hundred years ago, the how long people lived was very short compared to today. So a lot of the long lived immortals I know in like the series and in the movies, I like to cast them as these older, wiser people. They probably wouldn't be. They would be extremely young. So anyway, that's part of my problem with it. But again, I'm like Russell Crowe. For a Egyptian immortal, I don't see it. I mean, Sean Connery kind of squeaked it by sheer force of being Sean Connery, but
Yeah.
I was really disappointed in that, I'll be honest. And I still am. It hasn't sat well with me.
Yeah. I mean, that point really is probably my biggest point about the casting of Russell. And firstly, I understand why they chose him. There's been precedent all the way going back to Superman, where you've had not that Henry Cavill is by any means an unknown as Christopher Reeve was, but of having the sort of mentor role be played by a big star, have somebody who's got the presence, who's like because he's not going to be there for long. Let's really kind of like which is what they did with Sean Connery. And so I can see why they've sort of followed that through and they've gone, right, well, who can we get? Who's got the gravitas? But as you said, Egyptian, question mark, Spanish, question mark, in 2025? Should we be making movies where the character is potentially I mean, we know he's Egyptian and he's sort of, by way then, goes to Spain. So that Egypt's where it starts. Unless they change all of that for the character.
And I think that's actually something to think about. We don't know how much of this is going to be.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I kind of feel like they maybe need to, because I think that is a bit of an issue with with casting someone like Russell Crowe. But as I say, I see why. I can see it working, but maybe some tweaks to the sort of backstory. He's got to be Ramirez, right? You're not going to change the name. Please don't change the name because it's part of Highlander. But he's I'm not Spanish. I'm Australian.
Well, he might have just assumed the name from somebody, or
exactly, yeah.
Was born somewhere and then moved somewhere else, and
they are foundlings, so he could.
Well, I can fall back on that as well, Joe. Absolutely. The problem is that's a little too deep rooted in the lore for Joe Public to kind of be okay with that.
But I think you're right about the cultural appropriation, I suppose, is the term that's used a lot now, isn't it? And I think they'll be pretty aware of that. So
yes, I hope so.
You would think, you would hope. Because that's not what we need is New Highlander, and then the first thing is that sort of news story coming out about everybody's
Exactly.
playing the wrong.
Yeah.
You
I mean, come on. Like, we've had 40 years of, oh, you get a Scottish guy to play an Egyptian Spanish guy and a French guy to play it. It's just like, come
But
on.
then maybe we could say the same about Cavill. Maybe he shouldn't be playing a Scotsman. Maybe that's against
Yeah,
the.
that's
I
true.
don't know. That's dodgy these days.
I don't feel like I can argue with you, John.
But I think he'll do a good job as
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm getting the sense of the kind of movie this is going to be now. And I think this, with each new casting that comes out, I think we'll see it more and more. We already have a very vague idea. John Wick with swords. That's kind of the gist of, if you whittle it down. I think obviously Highlander is so much more than that, and I'm sure the script is more full with all of the, the heart and soul that we kind of, expect to have with the story. But yeah, so we have a little bit of a sense, and Henry Cavill, well, he's too everyone, he's too big, he's too muscular, but he's
not always that way, though.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah. We've seen he's growing his hair long, which is a really nice sign. We'll see a different side to him almost in that sense. I kind of feel like this is a different kind of Henry Cavill than we used to. So that's great. Yeah, and now Russell Crowe again, just kind of, okay.
And I think as well, having watched some of the press recently that they did for the Superman film, watching them chatting on the Graham Norton couch and things, you think there's a real, I mean, again, who knows? It comes as they're professional actors, but it comes across as if there's a bit of a, well, I don't know if you'd say a bond, but definitely a friendship. It seems quite natural.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard the story. Grant, maybe you could, people maybe know it, but you mentioned it the other day on the Messenger, and I didn't know this story until I watched the clips. So
yeah, well, I don't remember it verbatim. All I can remember is him talking about it on the couch of Graham Norton. But yeah, that he was playing rugby at school or something like that, and
I think they were filming Proof of Life.
Was that it? Yeah, just like across the way, and it was just and then I guess they met.
Well, I watched the clips. I'll
there you
basically
go.
the Cavill came across and spoke to. Crowe said that he'd spotted them these guys playing rugby, and one of them in particular was very good. And this person happened to be Cavill. He came across and said to him, can you give me some tips on acting? And I think one of them was something like, they'll treat you like rubbish, but they'll pay you well.
Yeah.
But he can remember this, so there was that kind of that mentorship already.
Yeah.
And that's what from the age of 16 he had that. So I think it definitely comes across, and you think, no, I could see these guys working together well.
Yeah.
Feels quite natural.
Yeah. And of course, they have worked together before, obviously in Superman, which Man of Steel, which is why they were on the couch at Graham Norton. So yeah, they've got some, they've got some past and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a good, I think it could be an awful lot worse, and I can see it.
Well, it shows that they really seem to be put. I mean, with Cavill, of course, it was, that's a quality piece of casting. Again, it's not. This is not direct to video. It's not a Netflix mockbuster type. Well, we don't think it is, but certainly that casting I think is really good. And so bringing in Russell Crowe again, just I think gives it another little bit of class, or a little bit of. It sort of says we're serious about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'll say that I am a huge fan of Russell Crowe. So that isn't that like, oh no, Russell Crowe, because I think he's an amazing actor. I mean, in Thor, that whole persona that he put on was suggested by him, and they did multiple different accents and multiple different versions, and that's the one they decided to go with. But the fact that he was that versatile, that he's like, yeah, I'll give you a few different versions of this. He's a tremendous actor, so that isn't my reticence for him being in this role. However, if, as you say, that they are smart enough to go, so we're going to kind of tool this character to more fit his background or more fit him, I'm all for that because I've always said if you're going to remake something or if you're going to do something new with an IP, do something different. Don't give us, in my opinion, don't give us what we had before. So if they're treating this and really looking at this as we're taking the core and heart of the story, but we're really going to make it our own and do our own thing with it, I'm all for that. And I think that's encouraging to me because I don't want to just see a, beat by beat remake of the Highlander movie. We already have that and it's good. We don't need to redo that. So if they're going to take the story and forge their own thing to be able to carry it forward, I'm very excited about that. I know right now, though, if they say, "Oh yeah, Ramirez isn't going to be this anymore; he's going to be this," that, as you know, Grant, there's going to be quite vocal people on the social media that are going to be like, "Oh, I'm not going to watch it," and you know what? If that drives like some of the trademarked stalwart fans away, I think that's okay
Yeah.
because you can't really. I mean, you're going to ask 10 Highlander fans what Highlander should be and is, and you're going to get 10 different answers.
Yeah.
So you can't make it for the people that have been sitting around and watching this since 1986. You can't do that. You're going to fail. So if they're going to make their own, I'm certain they're already fans of it. I know Stahelski loves the franchise. Cavill does. So I'm excited by this, and I hope they are taking that route that we're gonna give a fresh coat of paint. We're gonna not be precious with it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I've been saying for years, all the people who said, "No, don't touch Highlander; it's a classic." It's aged. I still love it to bits, and I love the 80s-ness of it as well. That's part and parcel of why it's so cool. But this generation coming up, they're not necessarily gonna age. Right? Look at John's face.
No, I don't. Well, I don't want to butt in, but
Oh, it's fine. Go.
I think I don't know what you guys have found, but I find myself having to apologize a little bit for Highlander sometimes
Yeah, yeah,
these days, and I think it is because of the age. It's just
yeah.
because of the pace.
Mm,
I have people that say, "Oh yeah, I've watched that recently, and it was slow," or it was cheesy," and I'm sure it's always been the same,
yeah, yeah.
but that's fine, and that's just the way it is, and I think we still, of course, love it. But yeah,
Absolutely.
as you're saying, I think we're always going to have that film
Yeah,
and sequels, and but yeah, we've got a chance to have something new and fresh and fun, hopefully, and
exactly. And hopefully, a whole lot more after that as well.
I just hope they make Connor older than 18 because Christopher Lambert didn't even look 18 in the
yeah.
first movie, and especially by Endgame, he did not look 18. It's
No,
like that. I'm like 18, really? That's where you want to? No, no.
I think we're good. I think I'm sure they are. So there we go. There's Ramirez. We have Ramirez on our scorecard. That's Connor tick, Ramirez tick. Who's next? We have Kurgan, Heather, Brenda, and maybe even Kastagir. So there's 4 more big ones to come. And I think we need to consider also who they might cast. Let's pick another 2 immortals. Let's have another female and another male. Just somebody different, somebody new that they could bring in. Who do we think they should choose for each of those 4 big ones and our 2 kind of like rogue entries? Amy, I'll go to you first. Who do you think should be Kurgan?
So I thought, obviously, we've talked about like how they've cast somebody now who is a bit more beefy for Connor, and in the original film, you'd got like Connor who was more of an everyday kind of man against this big bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It might be harder to kind of replicate that now because Henry Cavill is big.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he could slim down, like change for it if he wanted to. He's yeah. So whether or not we go down like a beefy Kurgan route or more of a psychological style Kurgan, I think that would be quite interesting. And we watched, I think it was Speak No Evil with James McAvoy, and he was really evil and cool.
Yeah.
So, like he could imagining him as like a bit of a Kurgan style character, or even like a Cillian Murphy.
Hmm.
Like he would be quite interested in that kind of psychological way. But
Yeah.
then if we did go like a bit more of a muscular thing, I don't know, would Anthony Starr be quite cool? Because you know, like him as Highlander is very nasty.
Yeah.
And against Henry Cavill, could that be quite cool? Or like some of the more, I think there's the Icelandic guy from Game of Thrones, like Christopher Hydruve or something, I think he's called. He's the ginger wildling guy.
Oh, I know who you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, he's quite big as well. So whether or not that would work.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And how about so who would be next? Heather. Do you have a pick for Heather?
I think with like Heather and Brenda, they kind of well, in my mind, Heather's always been a little bit meeker at the side of Brenda,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you want somebody for Brenda who's a little bit more like stronger natured. But I don't know. I thought maybe like either this Victoria Pedretti, I think her surname is pronounced, the one from like all the Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, them ones.
Okay.
I think she's in You as well. Um, and she's got quite like a delicacy about her, which I quite like. Or even like I think Florence Pugh in Midsummer, she seemed quite interesting. And then like for Brenda, maybe something like Emma Stone or even like Bryce Dallas Howard. She's got quite a fiery personality about her, but I think she's a little bit older. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. But I think that it would be nice to see a
More
proper
age
an
appropriate.
age match, and
Yeah.
not necessarily cast, yeah, cast Henry with somebody like 20 years younger. I think it
Mm.
would be. I have zero problem with that. So yeah, absolutely, that'd be really cool. And what about what about Kastagir?
Yes. I mean, an honorary mention Lance Reddick because he would have been absolutely amazing as Castigar. But other than that, I think my first thought was Jeffrey Wright. I think he'd be
Okay.
fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And what about Rogue? Any people that you kind of would love to see in a Highlander movie?
Um, I liked Anya Taylor-Joy in
Hmm.
Furiosa. I thought she'd quite hold her own. But if we wanted like a more of an older, that Carla Gianniero, I think her surname again, she's from, I saw her in Gerard's Game, but she's in a lot of the like haunting of things with,
Okay.
yeah, I think she's in that a lot. And then maybe like Rami Malek, who'd be quite interesting.
Hmm.
He's got that kind of like interesting stare about him. I could just imagine him at the start of a fight, maybe even like a bit of a physical style situation.
Oh, that's awesome. How about you, Joe? Let's go.
I went down rabbit holes with all of these and probably put way more thought into it than is necessary, and they're all going to be negated by who they actually cast. But so for Kurgan was a tough one for me because I know you want they. I think the impulse is to go with like the dude from Reacher season 3 who's like 7 foot tall and just this massive guy, or Dave Bautista or somebody like that. And I think, in my opinion, that's the wrong way to go, and which means they'll probably go that way. But I researched who occupied the steppes of Russia and who were the predominant group of people in the steppes in 900 to 1000 BC, and they were actually this nomadic tribe from Iran that were fair skinned, had red hair or light colored hair and light colored eyes. So, going with that, I went with Rupert Grint
Wow.
Okay.
because I think he was in the Snatch TV series.
Yeah.
And he's been in a lot of, he's one of those that to me is like Robert Pattinson, was like pigeonholed in this one thing. And if you look at everything he's chosen things that are diametrically opposed to that going forward. And I think he can prove, if they want to have a little bit of the Kurgan crazy in there, he can pull that off. And he has this menacing look and this calculated look, and I would be all for him doing that. At the same time, I also went with Rami Malek because he's just like he can do anything. He would be one of my wild card picks too, but I picked two other people. And I just desperately want him in this because he's fantastic. He's who I actually would have chosen for Ramirez, to be honest, because he's just can do anything and he's amazing. So, but Rupert Grint, I think he's overlooked. I think he has got the acting chops, and I think he would do a tremendous job with kind of a restrained insanity for the Kurgan and a menacing Kurgan. So there.
Okay.
For Heather,
Cheers for that one.
yeah, are you kind of mystified there, John?
Well, I've not seen him in anything since the Harry Potter films. So I'm actually just thinking he's 12 or something, but I suppose he looks a bit older now.
Yeah.
He does. I recommend.
I'll Google while you're talking.
Yeah, I recommend checking out some of his things. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, all of you. For Heather, I went with Kelly MacDonald, Scottish actress. She's been in Train Spotting, No Country for Old Men, Boardwalk Empire. She's done a lot of roles, and she, I think, would be right age for Heather. Perhaps a little bit older than Cavill, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Because again, I'd like to see them go against stereotype with the, 100-year-old immortal going for the young, hot, high school girl. It's like, no. I think he would be, seemed like Connor would be more like, I can't even relate to someone in their 20s in the 21st century. I want someone who's older and more, world weary and knows things, right? So I think Kelly MacDonald would be great as Heather. For Brenda, I went with Rosario Dawson.
Okay.
And the main reason is everything she's been in, she, like Daredevil, I think is where I point to, is she is really good at playing a character who is surrounded by these extraordinary things and giving you kind of a grounded reaction to them and how someone you would think would react to them instead of being this like, oh, and hysterical and stuff. She's like, I'm a nurse and I don't care what else is going on. I'm going to keep doing that. And I think, in this case, she'd be like, I'm whatever they decide to make Brenda, whether she's an investigator or, historian. Hope they keep that aspect that she'd be like, this is what I am and I'm pursuing this and not letting the rest of it get in the way. But at the same time, I think she could effectively play a character that would be attracted to Connor and intrigued by him in a realistic way. So I love her acting, and again, I think appropriate age for the role, and I think she would be fantastic in that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Kastagir, Jamie Foxx,
right?
Because he just looks. Every time I see Kastagir, honestly, I'm like, Jamie Foxx would just knock that out of the park. I mean, he's just got that kind of party mannerism, but he's not, overly comedic. I think he would just be really good in that role, and it would be a good name to, however briefly Kastagir is in it, it would be a good name to go, much like, Oscar winner Russell Crowe in Highlander. It's like, oh, wow. Oh, and Jamie Foxx is in it too. Wow. Okay, we got to check this out. So I think he'd be a good draw, but I think he could do really well with however briefly, or if I'm hoping it's an expanded role if they want to do multiple movies. But I think he would be great. 2 Wildcard immortals. So here's where I also put way too much thought into this. So I picked 2 people that one you'll say, oh yeah, that's a given, but cliche. And the other would be like, what? So the first one that's the given, Michelle Yeoh. I mean, come on, you got to have her in all these kind of movies, right? I mean, she's showing up in everything. The other pick is Kevin Hart. And I'm going to tell you before you yell at me, I'm going to tell you why. So how I would write this is you have Michelle Yeoh. It's like, oh, Michelle Yeoh's in this. She's going to be like up until the end. You dispatch her like immediately. because it's like, oh, here's this experienced immortal and all this stuff, and she's like one of the first people Kurgan offs in the movie, right? And it's like, whoa, shock, what? Kevin Hart, and you're like, no one's going to take him seriously, but you make him like one of the most lethal immortals ever. Because it's like nobody would expect it. Right against type. Do something interesting and different with it. So there you go. Those are my picks.
I love that. I never in a million years would I have had you down for Ron Weasley and
Yeah, Kevin Hart.
John, follow that.
I'm not sure I can. Okay, so I've got a few names written down. So for the Kurgan, I put down Alexander Skarsgård.
Okay.
In the Northman, I was watching some clips of that, and he's pretty,
Yeah.
beefed up in that one. And also, I did a bit of a deep dive as well, not too deep, but I had a look at heights of the different actors, and it looks like he's about 6'4".
Okay.
And I think Cavill is roughly 6'1" ish.
About that, yeah.
So, we can do a lot with
Mm-hmm.
height, in camera or whatever. But anyway, I think he could be good. The other one I did actually put down was Aaron Pierre, having watched him in Rebel Ridge recently. I don't know if anyone saw that. Does anyone, do we know him? He's a British actor,
Right.
but he does an brilliant American accent as well. He's done lots of stuff, of course, but I watched him in Rebel Ridge on Netflix. So that was quite, I think he could be good.
Mm-hmm.
For Heather, I put down Saoirse Ronan as a possible. She did the Outrun, I think it was called, in the last year or so, a Scottish-made film, and she had a Scottish accent, which was okay. It was meant to be Orkney, but it wasn't quite right. But she can do an accent, and she's brilliant. And the other person I just had, another one, is a Scottish actress called Lauren Lyle, who's in Outlander and a series called Karen Perry, a cop show on ITV. So a Scottish actress. So I think Kelly MacDonald would be good. I wonder if she's a little bit old for it, but
Yeah, that's possible.
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? And as for Brenda, I put down originally Rebecca Ferguson, who I'd love to see in this world, kind of teaming up again with Henry Cavill after Mission Impossible Fallout. But I also had Gugu Mbatha Raw.
Yeah.
She does the American accent brilliantly. Again, we don't know what they're going to do with the characters. Maybe she'll be English in this one, but if they stick with that, she can do the accent. She's great with glasses. She's doing the anyway, yes. We'll stop there. But those are a couple. And then for Kastagir, I mean, I just wonder if there's going to be a little bit. We were talking here. Joe was talking about kind of giving us what we want, but also maybe twisting things a little bit. So I just threw in a bit of a wild card, which was Michaela Cole, who I think could be a great female Kastagir, because I think they're bound to do some sort of gender swapping in this. I'm sure of it, but I think she could be quite cool. And again, who else did I have? I had I did put down Denzel Washington, but I don't know if they're gonna. I would love it if they could get him. I mean, of course, I would love to see Hugh Quarshie come back. I'll just state that first. I should have said that up front. I think, why not? I know we've said that, Joe, you make a great point about older immortals, and maybe they would all be a bit younger, but bring back Hugh.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a conversation about
I make an exception for that. He would be,
absolutely.
that would be
he
beautiful.
Still looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I met him a couple of weeks ago, and he's just phenomenal. So yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So, and also I had Colin Salmon down there just because I think he's a great actor. So there's loads actually we could have for that role, and then the wild cards I have Chow Yun Fat and Michelle Yeoh as well. But originally I had Tilda Swinton down as a female, maybe an ancient immortal who has been hidden away for centuries or something that comes back out in the last. Because I think they might do okay, in my fantasy Highlander, we've got the post-credit sequence or scene, and I can just see them having some amazing reveal of someone from the next film. So someone like Tilda Swinton could be great, or Denzel, or Michelle Yeoh, or someone like that. But anyway, I would love to see some really surprise cameos as immortals, and maybe they just get one scene and they get killed off, and you have so much fun with this. You bring in Judi Dench for one scene, Daniel Day-Lewis. I did actually have Daniel Day-Lewis, but I thought no, that he's never going to come in for that. But
no.
Anyway, I'll stop there because we could be here all night, couldn't we? But this is fun. This is fun coming up with ideas.
It is, yeah. This is a proper rogues gallery. Judi Dench facing off against Rupert Grint. Yeah.
I think you bring up a valid point, though, John, is that like right now with the list that we have, and obviously our assumptions, and I'm responsible for that too. We have the immortals very weighted as male, and the mortals as female, and I would say, have a female Kastagir. I mean, I think it would have been probably cool, but in this climate, maybe too contentious that if they went, the mentor Ramirez route with a female, I think would have been fantastic as well. So yeah, I would like to see a lot more immortals weighted the other way than what we're assuming is going to be done based on what we've seen, right? So maybe the TV series is, instead of Duncan MacLeod, is a female MacLeod and female led. That would be awesome too.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, you never know. Okay, so my picks would be, for a long time, like I said, I have two Kurgans. I think the obvious pick for me is Alan Ritchson, Reacher to everybody.
And of course, he's with Amazon, isn't he?
Well,
true. Yeah.
They were in Ungentlemanly Warfare together. He's just a smidge taller than Henry. He's built like a brick shithouse. You could see him kicking Henry's ass. So there's that option. But conversely, Adam Driver, I think, would be a really cool Kurgan, just because, and it's all about the height. He's got the height. We've seen him as Ben Swallow, so we know that he can beef up a little bit if needed. But I just think he's got that presence and that kind of that look just being a bit kind of, I don't know, a bit scary and a bit, he could, creep you out and then chop your head off. But and he's obviously a fantastic actor as well. And I think he's got the chops for it. Whether he'd do it or not, I don't know. But so of the two of them, I would pick him first. But I'd also like to see Alan in there just because. And when it comes to Heather, despite the fact that I said that she should be aged up for Henry, the pick is aged a little lower, but just because I think she'd be a perfect Heather. If irrespective of who's playing Connor, I think she'd be a great Heather. And that is, I've got to look it up because I can't remember her name. Bella McLean, who was in Rivals. I don't know if anybody's watched Rivals with David Tennant. It's based on a Jilly Cooper book. But it's, a real kind of cheesy 80s kind of thing. But Bella plays one of the daughters who has, an affair with this horse riding cad and all that. It sounds awful, but actually,
looking at the photo now, you can't see it, but yeah.
It's such I'll chat them up on here in the edit, but looking at her headshots, she just has that natural beauty. And when it comes to Brenda, I hope I said this right, Adria Arjona from Andor. I think she'd be pretty cool. I think she was fantastic in Andor.
Yeah.
Again, I kind of similar to what you were saying, Joe. I kind of buy her rolling with the punches and doing it in a realistic way, and not in a oh my god, what's happening? You just chopped somebody's head off kind of way.
Yeah.
She seems like a really cool actress, but also a really, really good one. For Kastagir, I kind of feel like this is obvious, but I'm surprised nobody said it, so maybe it isn't. Idris Elba. I think he's got some action chops. Whether he'd be super excited to be running around with the sword and things like that, I don't know. But I see him within that realm. And when we're talking about seeing him within that realm, there's probably a 50, even 60% chance it'll be Lawrence Fishburne, just because of John Wick.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
So there is that. But I think Idris could.
I mean, the thing that's just coming up in my head though is about this idea, which again we're all just making this up and as we go along, but this idea that if they were to do spin-offs, prequels, TV shows, I'm partly thinking who could they have that would be willing to actually to do that?
Yeah.
Which is maybe not the way they're thinking. Who knows? But
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's worth.
I think Idris Elba would. I mean, he did Hijack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's always
6 episodes Kastagir prequel.
Yeah.
I did actually think of Idris initially when you sent that list, but in my mind, I was like, oh, that's the obvious choice.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It was like, so that won't. So maybe that is what they'll do. That would be great.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Wild cards. I don't know. Like, again, because he has history with John Wick, let's get Donnie Yen back. I mean, even have him play the same character, because why not?
Yeah.
We've seen him with the sword anyway, and he'd be pretty amazing.
Give him a better end.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But why not? I kind of think, I feel like that would be fun. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Keanu in a kind of a Drew Barrymore at the beginning of Scream kind of moment. Well, let's face it, that's Fazil, isn't it? In that kind of turns up at the beginning. Oh my God, I didn't realize he was going to be in this movie. Oh,
can't believe we didn't do a casting for Fazil.
Well, yeah. I mean, who knows? This is it with the new movie. Who knows how many of these old characters they have in there and who they don't? Yeah. But I mean, we'd be here all night if we and for bed. So I'd like
ask everybody. Yeah.
No, you have to have. You got to have Keanu show up in a bar scene where Connor's in a bar having a drink, and Keanu's obviously, they don't call his name, but he's obviously John Wick, so that in a future John Wick movie, you can do the other side where Cavill shows up, obviously as Connor McLeod, and they just kind of acknowledge each other, and maybe they have some history together, maybe not. Who knows?
Look, John Wick jumped out of like a 14-story building and bam.
Yeah.
Like, he's immortal, right?
He fell off the roof of a building and ping-ponged down off the fire escape.
And down the stairs and things like that. He's immortal. That's all there is to it. So, yeah, there you go. Saw it.
Yeah.
For another wild card, I don't know. I guess I would go... oh, man, I'm going to say her name wrong. She's just done Ballerina.
Anna Darmas.
Thank you. Yes, Anna. Yes. So she was rumored earlier on as well, and again, I could see why.
My husband's quite into having her in it.
There you go. Yeah, I think she'd be cool. And failing that, Katie Sackhoff, just because Katie Sackhoff.
Oh, yes.
I think also Anna Darmas could be a potential Brenda, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Amanda.
Nah.
We go the series route. So anyway, sorry, I'm already casting the series now in my head, and I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. So yeah, there we go. There's our picks. Who knows? Who knows who'll be next? I reckon they'll announce Kurgan next. That's my guess. And that makes the most sense. Even if they picked other ones already, I kind of feel like that will be the next big one.
Because all you have to do if they're going to start shooting in September, what other beefy big actor is starting to work out full time right now? Right? So
Yeah, exactly.
they
Just give
can't
it
really
time.
hide it for too long.
Exactly. Well, everyone went crazy because the guy who was in Reacher in season 3, there's a photo of him training with the Kurgan sword.
Oh,
I know. And the other guy has Claymore, and everyone's like, "Is this the Kurgan? Have they cast the Kurgan?" Apparently, it was the only sword big enough for him, which is why he was using it. So that's what he says. So I don't know.
I mean, he is a good actor too. I think he would, if they're going to go that route, he could do the kind of ranting, crazy Kurgan if they want to go keep that.
Yeah,
And, you know,
I think the greatest thing about his character Paulie in Reacher series 3 was the fact that he didn't have to say much. No disrespect. I think he's come on leaps and bounds since his first role. But yeah, would I give him Kurgan? No, I'm too precious about it. But who knows? If
we'll see.
yeah, well, who knows? I don't know.
Well, you're right though. I mean, this is now almost July, isn't it? So
Yeah,
I reckon in the next month you would think we're going to get Kurgan.
yeah,
Sorry, yeah, Kurgan. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
exciting.
It is. It is very exciting. September. Shoots. I mean, I can't believe we're actually almost here. So,
And in Scotland, I mean,
no.
I'm free. If anyone from Chad's listening, I'm available whatever week it is in September.
Well,
If they're gonna cast a journalist character,
yeah.
John, I mean, you're a shoe-in, I think.
And I'm 6'5", so I mean, get rid of this Alexander Skarsgård. You know, he's
Yeah.
a midget, really.
Perfect. It's
There we go. Insert picture of John as the Kurgan right now.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Get AI onto it. That's what I'm thinking you're going to do, Grant, is create some AI images with some of these names.
I think we have to now, don't we?
Yeah.
Just some big face-off between, like Ron Weasley and
yes.
Dame Judy, and then John steps in. Yeah, holy
Yeah.
crap. Amazing.
No, exciting times. I think we're going to be talking and get well if I'm invited back. But
Absolutely, yeah.
some
You're
of us
always
will be talking about this very, very soon, I think.
Yeah, no, I believe we will. Absolutely. And yeah, no, absolutely. You're always welcome, John. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And don't forget, people, available in most good book retailers, Making of Highlander, including Amazon.
Amazon, yes.
Yeah.
It's on there.
Yeah, there you go. Help support the movie
Absolutely.
buy John's book on Amazon. There we go.
Yeah, please do.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It's great to see you all again. And viewers, I'm sorry it's taken us nearly a year to come back. But don't blame us. Blame Chad Stiles. And with any luck, we'll be back quite soon with another big announcement. So I'm going to see if you can all do this in unison. Until then, hold fast.
And don't lose your head.
Is there-
Oh.
Close.
Close. All right. Thanks so much, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.